Rio de Janeiro, or the River of January, is named after a bay that explorers mistook for a river. You might think that's incredibly stupid, but the rivers in this part of the world can be incredibly wide. Anyway, this isn't a geography channel, we're here for the stadiums. Here are the stadiums and arenas of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Estádio Luso Brasileiro. This lopsided stadium gets the nickname of the Stadium of the Howling Winds. That is partially due to the very first match at the stadium where a goal was scored due to the strong winds. A few years later, a goal was scored by the goalkeeper due to the wind, so I think it's earned its nickname. A couple of big clubs have called this stadium home in the past decade or so, simply due to their own stadiums being renovated. An interesting venue to start off with. Juventus Arena. This arena, used mostly for concerts and basketball, was actually built within the bounds of a former racetrack that used to host the Brazilian Grand Prix. It's the largest arena in the city and is considered to be one of the best arenas in the country. It was designed to mimic the arenas of the NBA, and while it may not have quite the same amenities, it's not far off, owing to a renovation prior to the 2016 Olympics, where it gained this modern video board amongst other things. Estádio do Maracanã. This concrete donut of a stadium might not have the most exciting design going round, but more importantly, it is perhaps the most iconic football stadium in the world. If not that, then certainly the most famous in Brazil. And for good reason. It's hosted 2 World Cup finals, one of which was attended by close to 200,000 people. Nowadays, it can't accommodate anywhere near that number, and that's not just because people have gotten fatter. It's OHS and whatnot. However, the facilities are a lot better, as you'd expect. Speaking of the 2016 Olympics, this place hosted the opening and closing ceremonies of the games. Not the athletics though, because despite the rounded ends, it is still a football-specific stadium. Situated right next door is Ginásio do Maracanazinho. It was opened in the same year as the Maracanã, as Brazil was not only hosting the Football World Cup that year, but the Basketball World Cup as well. I know which one the locals would have been more excited about. Let's just say it's the one with the round ball. It too has been extensively renovated since those days, and only occasionally hosts basketball these days. It does host volleyball, but it's really concerts that keep the lights on, so to speak. Concerts and electricity also plays its part. Estádio Giolito Coutinho. This ground is home to a club called America. That's not in reference to the US, of course, but people in South America tend to consider America to be one continent. The Panama Canal is the thorn in their side. Despite being a rectangular stadium, the gaps between the stands and the field are fairly large. I suppose that helps keep the players safe from projectiles such as bottles, flares, and, heaven forbid, a paper aeroplane might make its way onto the field. Estádio Olímpico Nilton Santos. This spectacular stadium was the venue that hosted the track and field at the 2016 Olympics. I'm gonna try not to keep mentioning the Olympics, but I feel like it's inevitable. Since those days, the ground has been fitted with seating that is reflective of the club that plays here, Botafogo, which looks great. Another unique aspect to its design is the fact that it is expandable at either end. You can kind of see where the upper deck would go. That was especially useful during the major international athletic event in 2016. But yeah, it is one of the best stadiums in the city. Estádio Vasco da Gama. It's an interesting stadium with a long and storied history. In its early days, it was actually the largest stadium in the Americas, or the America, I should say. That's clearly not the case anymore, but some remnants from that era remain. Most notably the heritage-listed facade, which is absolutely beautiful, and they've kept it in perfect condition, unlike most of the exteriors we've seen. Inside there is a horseshoe layout of sorts, which is not a perfect layout for football, but at least there's plenty of roof coverage. Estadio Figueiro de Melo. Having opened in 1916, this is one of the oldest football stadiums in the city, and it certainly looks its age, given that it's a little rough around the edges. Actually, it's a lot rough around the everywhere. But as Lionel Hutz, the real estate agent, would say, it's not dilapidated, it's rustic. He's a great guy, that Lionel Hutz. He actually sold me my microphone, and it's never let me down. Oh, I was expecting it to malfunction or something. Maria Lenk Aquatic Center. Having an aquatics venue with a capacity as large as this is a good sign that the city has hosted the Olympics. Damn it. Because swimming is not really known as a spectator sport for anything but the biggest of events. You may remember that the water turned green throughout those games. Regardless, it's a pretty cool venue. Estadio Mocha Bonita. Sounds delicious, but sadly it's not a coffee and chocolate based drink, but a very basic football stadium. The design is kinda vanilla, come to think of it, with a fairly even distribution of seating, which is mostly of the bare concrete terrace variety. There are not many positives to mention, but I'd still watch a game here, especially if they have a nice cold glass of Mocha Bonita available. Estadio Conselheiro Galvão. This tiny stadium just surpasses the capacity cutoff for this video, although a few years back it had to be limited to just over 2,000 for safety reasons. The stadium is notable for the fact that one of the corners is bordered not by stands but by a gymnasium, a very oddly shaped gymnasium, but I don't mind a bit of quirkiness to a stadium. So yeah, despite being small, this ground has plenty of character. Arena Carioca Uno. They had to number it because this is one of 3 Siamese twins that were built prior to the 2016 Olympics. Wait, no. You're not supposed to say Siamese anymore. Conjoined twins. Wait, but there's 3 of them. Conjoined triplets, there you go. Throughout the games, all 3 venues looked pretty similar. All top-notch modern venues. This one has a compact double-tiered seating bowl, and it's looking pretty good. The other 2 arenas have been or will be transformed into training facilities. Yet another facility in the Olympic Park is the Velodrome. This was built as a replacement to the Barrow Velodrome, which had the same capacity and was only 6 years old when it was demolished in 2013. You can see why some people think the Olympics is a waste of money. Don't get me wrong though, this is a pretty cool venue, but 6 years is too young for a velodrome to die. And finally we have the tennis center, well, just Maria Esther Bueno Court, which is the only permanent facility at the complex. It's a big double-tiered coliseum of a stadium, and I believe the government are actually looking for buyers, so if you've got like, I don't know, $150 million lying around, the entire Olympic Tennis Center could be yours. So there you have it. If you enjoyed the video, please consider either subscribing or staying subscribed if you already have. And as always, thanks for watching, have a good one.